Thank you so much for coming to this curtain raiser dinner. Of course, it's the curtain raiser dinner that comes on the eve of the inaugural India-South Africa Business Summit taking place right here at the Sandton Convention Center. Now, it's of course no surprise that such a grand event and such a grand business grouping and business meeting will be, or had and is taking place between two old friends, being South Africa and India. The two countries share a long and a very rich past, a past colored with partnership, the partnership to fight against an oppressive system, and one in which victory for freedom was had. But of course, the matters of tonight are not just about discussing the past. We're here to talk about where we're going as two friends. We're talking about present relations and also about future opportunities to be had and to be exploited between these two beautiful, vibrant countries. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, this summit does take place at a time when the world is preparing for centenary celebrations for the late struggle icon hero, a very loved man here in South Africa, Nelson Mandela. And our friends in India have put together this special evening as a tribute to South Africa's father of the nation, and for that, we say thank you. But of course, Nelson Mandela was not the only iconic, respected, loved world hero that is celebrated. India has its own, Mahatma Gandhi. And this too, this evening tonight, is a tribute and a celebration to his memory and all that he fought and lived for. So much so that in honor of Mahatma Gandhi, we will be practicing a kind of sattvic, I hope I said that correctly, lifestyle this evening in honor of Gandhiji, as I am told he is also known. Now, for those of us who don't know what a sattvic lifestyle is, I Googled. And I am told that it is a lifestyle that really strives to attain the highest form of purity of body and mind. And in doing so, I'm sure our friends from India will let us know that it is inputting or consuming things in the body that aren't toxic or that aren't impure. So for tonight, we shall not be consuming any alcohol in honor of a sattvic lifestyle that Mahatma Gandhi believed in and practiced himself. Great news for most people here in the room. There's no need for... Yes, let's take a round of applause for that. Great news for many of us here in the room. There's no need to Uber or Taxify. The economy of the Metro Police will not be increased tonight because many of us will get home without any ease. But ladies and gentlemen, at this stage I'd like us to get going with the formal proceedings of what is really going to be a beautiful evening. And I'd like to welcome on stage a lady who's been a pivotal part of why we are here today, what we are celebrating today, and the kind of conversations that are going to be had tomorrow right here at the Sandton Convention Center. She's new to the role, but her and her team have clearly hit the ground running. And for months have been working tirelessly. They've been working very hard to make sure that this is the success that it is proving to be today. They've got ambitious targets, they've told us, members of the media about the kind of relation they want to forge between India and South Africa. They want to double the current value of trade that is exchanged between the two economies. I do understand that currently that sits at around $10 billion. And they don't see any reason why that can't be doubled in the next coming years. So High Commissioner, I know you have had a lot of sleepless nights leading up to all of this, but your target means that a lot more hard work is in store for you. Ladies and gentlemen, at this stage, if you will give a warm round of applause as we welcome Her Excellency, Ms. Ruchira Kamboj, who is the High Commissioner of India to South Africa and Lesotho.
Few places on earth can offer the variety that India does. We are a 5,000 years old civilization, there, perhaps where no one was. Knowledge from our Vedas, some of the oldest texts of the planet, transcend the barriers of race, creed, and religion, extending to all parts of the world. And peace, advocated from our ancient Gita, has uplifted and touched souls. However, the depth of India is not solely contained within its past. 71 years of independence have paved a path of acceleration and development within our country. In terms of our economic growth, we are one of the fastest growing economies in the world. In terms of our environment efforts, we lead in conservation, including through the Blue Revolution, for bluer oceans and skies. In technology, with cost-effective and influentially bold space programs, we have launched some of the most powerful rockets and satellites, as well as in our actions of tenacity and strength on education for all. South Africa, a country which stands out through its boundless diversity amongst land and people and with a deeply rooted history, has also taken to rapid growth and development, sculpting a fresh path for its people. The soul and spirit of this beautiful land and its beautiful people is indeed unique. It not only possesses a genuine spirit of welcoming, but also serves as an epitome of reconciliation and rapprochement. After traveling to more countries than I am able to keep track of, I can say that I have yet to stand beneath something as entrancingly low and vast as the South African sky. Honorable Minister Suresh Prabhu, Minister Rob Davies, Minister Praveen Gorkhan, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is with great joy and excitement that I stand here to welcome all of you to a night where our Indian and South African heritage speak for themselves. There are perhaps no two more natural partners than India and South Africa, two countries which have gone through the crucible of oppression, struggle, and hardship, with souls unbroken. Today, our countries emerge as leaders for a new era of shared prosperity for the benefit of our two countries and people. Perhaps it was this golden thread that O.R. Tambo spoke of when he went to India in 1980 to receive the Nehru Award on behalf of Madiba. Or when Madiba himself said, speaking of Gandhiji, and I will quote, "India's soul truly does lie in South Africa," unquote. Years later, India bestowed on Madiba her highest civilian honor, the Bharat Ratna, or the Jewel of India, only one of two foreign statesmen to receive this honor. Since 1997, when the basis of the strategic partnership of our countries was laid, trade has emboldened, cultural and economic bonds have deepened, and people-to-people ties have solidified. This relationship between India and South Africa is special. It stands for peace in a time of turmoil, serves as a platform of collaboration in a time of chaos, and above all, is an alliance of trust. The India-South Africa Business Summit is born from a conviction that our two countries share a future as rich as our past. Perhaps many of you in the audience would recognize this quote from Madiba himself, and I quote, "With an unfaltering belief in justice and a recognition that none could be truly free while others were oppressed, India came to our aid when the rest of the world stood by." Unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we honor our countries through collaboration, our people with compassion, and our shared histories through art. Thank you. I am particularly privileged as I have the proud honor to request Minister Rob Davies to come on stage. Dr. Robert Hayden Davies has been the Honourable Minister of Trade and Industry of South Africa since May 2009. Dr. Davies was a very active anti-apartheid activist, member of the South African Communist Party, and post-apartheid, he has been the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry and the Chairman of the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Finance. Before entering Parliament, Dr. Davies was a professor and co-director of the Centre for South African Studies at the University of the Western Cape. Minister, you have the podium.
Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. We're connecting you. Put it to the side.
Which one?
Yes.
Hello?
And then put it.
Is it high, the volume up?
Thanks to the High Commission in India for all the work that you've done. Of course, with support from our team in making this event a success. Let me greet my colleague and actually very good friend, that we've established a very strong relationship in our interactions on the World Trade Organization, Minister Suresh Prabhu of India, the Minister of Commerce. He's also the Minister of Aviation. I have to tell you that although aviation is an issue, I'm not the Minister of Aviation. Also, let me greet our former First Lady, Mrs. Khadhi Mbeki, fellow ministers from South Africa are present here. I see Private Gordon, but also our ministers who are here from SADC, our colleague from Mozambique, our colleague from Botswana, also Saku, Minister, and then I think also the leaders of the Business CEOs Forum, Mr. Khadhi Godrej from India, and Mr. Vivian Reddy from South Africa. It's a great pleasure to just say a few words of introduction. This is not going to be a long speech. At this dinner, which is the dinner that is really inaugurating this very important India-South Africa Business Summit, the first event of its sort. The dinner tonight is, of course, a tribute to both our icon, Tata Nelson Mandela, Madiba, and also to Mahatma Gandhi, the icon of India. I think that the personalities of those two giants of the liberation struggles in our two respective countries already indicate the strong partnership. Of course, we know that Mahatma Gandhi lived in South Africa, became a political activist in South Africa, and some of the techniques of struggle that he learned and developed here in South Africa, he took over into India. I think it's very important that we also recall that, of course, we all know that India achieved its liberation a considerable number of decades before we did in South Africa. And I think it's very important to note and appreciate the solidarity that we receive from India in our own struggle. And that, I think, is very pertinent to the discussion about business relations, because actually India was the very first country to call for and apply sanctions against apartheid South Africa. And the result of that, the consistent application of those sanctions over time, was that there was an almost insignificant economic relationship between South Africa and India at the time when we attained our liberation in 1994. Since then, we've seen a steady improvement as India has become a very, very significant emerging economy, and South Africa has sought to build relations with that country. India is now between our 6th and our 8th trading partner, coming from almost nowhere to that. There's a significant investment relationship that we have with quite a number of Indian companies becoming household names in South Africa, Tata, Mahindra, a number of the pharmaceutical companies that are here as well. And then South African companies are also investors in India. So we have AXA, the Airports Company of South Africa, which was, the company was awarded the contract to rehabilitate and now runs the airport, or manages the airport in Mumbai. But I think that Minister Prabhu and I have both concluded that while we have seen progress, we've also, in a way, taken our foot off the accelerator in very recent years. And that this is a time as India is poised to improve its economic performance, and as South Africa now stands also poised to improve its economic performance, as we address the challenges that have led in the last few years to us achieving rates of growth much lower than our peers, much lower than are warranted, while we address the challenges of governance, we address the challenges of policy uncertainty, and as our new president shows that he's not just talking about these things, but that we're actually acting on these things, I think that we realize that we are poised to be able to make a major leap forward in our bilateral relations. So we've had already a very fruitful engagement with the CEO's forum leaders and participants. We have appreciated that they have been looking sector by sector. Later on, tomorrow, we will see Invest South Africa and Invest India sign a bilateral agreement. These two investment agencies will be able to work much more closely together, again on identifying investment projects and opportunities both ways. One of the things I think that we have agreed on, which hopefully will be able to give our efforts more momentum, is that we have agreed that we are not going to be happy just to have an event like this once a year, and there's a little bit of activity that precedes it, and then we all go to sleep for the rest of the year. So we've actually agreed on a timetable of events where we will be meeting in one format or another. We'll have a side event, we'll monitor what's going on, and we'll seek to push this relationship further forward. I should say I also appreciate the presence of my colleague from Botswana, at least Cyprus, everyone I noticed who's here, because we negotiate trade agreements as a South African customs union, and we have recently agreed that we will revitalize our efforts to achieve the conclusion of this long-running saga of the preferential trade agreement with India. So I think that this event is extremely timely. This event is happening even as our President Matabela Silva has appointed a number of investment envoys and is seeking to raise our investment, incoming investment, to a very, very ambitious target of $100 million over 3 years. That we are looking to build and deepen and strengthen our relations. Of course, we've said to Minister Prabhu, it's not just a one-way investment relationship. We're also looking for South African companies to increase their investment presence in India. So I think it's just to welcome everybody.
Tabiso. Hello. I can. Yes. Yes.
They got your intro.
I have 2 guests, so just hand over to me and then I'll take it from there with the guests.
We sent in the names.
You've got the names of the guests already, right? Hey? Yes. About? Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Alicia. Welcome back to the Sandton Convention Centre. Things have just gotten underway here. In a short while, we're going to hear keynote addresses from Minister Rob Davies and his Indian counterpart, Suresh Prabhal. Now, Alicia, tonight's event is honouring Madiba and Mahatma Gandhi. And on the lineup is a special fashion show called Khadhi Couture. Now, Khadhi is a symbol of resistance, and over the years it has become a symbol of resistance for India. But also the Khadhi movement was actually India's first taste of economic freedom. So we're going to hear a little bit about why Khadhi in this program today from 2 of South Africa's top fashion designers, Gavin Raja and Stephen van Eden. And first I'm going to talk to Stephen, who's going to tell us a little bit more about a collection that they've put together especially for this event. Stephen, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening, Asina.
Tell us a little bit more of what you and Gavin have put together today.
Well, for the collection, I was working in primary colors like whites and blacks and accents of red and gold. Bringing in the Khadhi fabric, I used printing, silk screen printing, that was done in accent colors like in golds and blacks, and it all resembles like African prints and symbols of India, like beautiful floral printing. And yeah, I also collaborated with local brands like Cape Cobra Leathercraft and Untold Jewelry for accessorizing this beautiful collection. And it was absolutely so exciting working on this, and it's such an honor.
Did you use Ndebele fabric as well?
No, I took the Khadhi fabric and I basically applied printing that makes it similar to that looks like Ndebele fabric.
So it's a fusion?
Yes, it's a fusion between African and Indian fashion and basically symbols. Yeah.
Sounds fantastic. Gavin, if you can tell us a little bit more about Khadhi.
So Khadhi was a fabric which was hand spun, and it's related to as a fabric of liberation, economic emancipation. And what Gandhi wanted to do was make sure that people in India were empowered by producing this fabric. So he was very kind of adamant that we shouldn't allow the product just to be exported, and at the same time we should not at all have any kind of issues around creating a sustainable future for many farmers who are producing cotton or silks. So Khadhi is a hand-spun fabric, and it's very emotive because anything which relates to hand and the manufacturing of something by hand has an emotional connection. So it's now become a very luxurious fabric, and it now represents a new kind of sensibility in kind of economic development for India. And I think for us, the symbolism of the tie was that this kind of coincided with the Freedom Day, so the use of creating of this fabric and creating a collection around it was just so apt. And obviously it's on the eve of the India-South Africa Business Summit, so we're very proud to be producing this collection and representing both our countries.
Tell me, how did you feel working with this fabric? It was flown in from India. How did you feel working, physically working with it? What kind of emotions did it stir up in you?
So I remember my grandparents and my great-grandparents talking about Khadhi and the use of Khadhi, and when you were a kid you didn't really understand what it was, but now that I know what it is, I understand the contribution it's made to the liberation of many people, the assistance of many vulnerable communities around the world, in particular India. But for me here, the thing about it is that we've created a collection which is just, for me, very beautiful, and it's really a tribute to where we are as South Africans, what we're capable of producing. So seeing my amazing staff create this collection using this fabric was very, very emotional, and it was very special for me.
Do you think what you've created now is symbolic of where we've traveled? Both countries have traveled from our roots, under oppression to freedom today?
Absolutely. I think that India and South Africa share there's this huge amount of commonality, and the issue or the path of struggle and liberation and economic freedom is it's a very, very strong thread, and we've kind of almost were the phoenix that rose out of these ashes and are now actually capitalizing on the fact that we have all these amazing resources and products like Khadhi, for instance, because Khadhi is like the pashmina of cotton, or silk actually, because it's actually hand woven. And I think working with producing this show and doing 2 collections and having Stephen van Eden as part of this, it's just been such a great collaboration, because we both come with different aesthetics and different interpretations of being South Africans as well, and using an Indian fabric.
Excellent. I look forward to the show then.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Time.
Alicia, we had a sneak peek of, I must tell you, of the collection backstage, and it is absolutely beautiful. I can't wait for the fashion show. I'm sorry, Alicia, I can't hear you, so I'm going to have to say goodbye. And from the Sandton Convention Center, thank you so much, and we'll be back here tomorrow covering a host of activities here, which are going to be trade meetings between different role players. We're going to be sitting in on different sessions, and really some interesting discussions promised. There are going to be some top women entrepreneurs, and I'm really looking forward to that one. Entrepreneurs from India and from South Africa talking about women in business. We're going to sit in on the agricultural, pharmaceutical, healthcare, automotive discussions, and we'll bring you all those updates during the course of tomorrow. From us here, it's back to you in the studio.
The thing is, you can't hear them, so we must make
of course, is a year in which a number of milestones will be celebrated. And one of those is the strategic partnership between India and South Africa. Now, this partnership was cemented in 1997 with the signing of the Red Fort Declaration. And tonight, we are very honored to have amongst our midst an esteemed multi-award-winning journalist who took it upon himself to document, collect, and put together all the stories and the pictures and the experiences and the history that has taken place in the past 20 years, so that we never forget. So I would just at this stage like to re-welcome back on stage Her Excellency, Ms. Rita Campbell, who is a High Commissioner of India to South Africa and to Lesotho. I would like to welcome back on stage the Honorable Dr. Rob Davies, who is the Minister of Trade and Industry here in South Africa, and of course, the Honorable Shri Suresh Prabhu, who is is Minister for Commerce and Industry at the Government of India. You're welcome. And, of course, we cannot talk about a book or launch, a monumental piece of history, without having the author of that monument here. And as I said, he is here with us. I would like to, at this stage, welcome Mr. Fakir Hassan, who is the author of this book. He has been a journalist and a reporter, a writer of South African and Indian stories, rather, for the past 4 decades. So you can certainly be assured that anything that is important, that is worth knowing, is in this book. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen. I'd just like to ask. Another round of applause. Thank you so much, and at this stage I'd like you to welcome me in my home for this evening as we take it backstage. Yes, please. Thank you. Yes, to the back. Right, ladies and gentlemen, so tonight is really going to be a night filled with promoting the best that India and South Africa have to share. And it's going to also be an evening about having fun. And a night of song, dance, and fashion is in store for you. I would like to, at this stage, ask you to brace yourselves for a special kind of experience when it comes to fashion. I learned of this new type of fashion and couture myself shortly this evening. But what I can tell you is, prepare to be marveled. Brace yourselves for a showcase of what is called trendy Khadhi couture. And a brief history of what Khadhi is, for those of you who don't know. Khadhi, as I am told, could be called as the library of freedom. In India, Khadhi refers to hand-woven cloth. And the Swedish movement of boycotting English products during the first 2 decades of the 20th century. This was made popular by Mahatma Gandhi, who started spinning himself and encouraging others to do so. He further made a chakri, which is a spinning wheel. It is the symbol of the nationalist movement. Now, Mahatma Gandhi began promoting the spinning of Khadhi for rural self-employment and self-reliance, instead of using cloth manufactured in Britain. And this happened round about in the 1920s, for those of us in South Africa who are not familiar with that culture, and of course for our partners from the rest of the continent. As I am told, Khadhi is an integral part and an icon of that Swadeshi movement. And the freedom struggle revolved around the use of Khadhi fabrics and the dumping of foreign-made clothes. Today, Khadhi is regarded as one of the most luxurious fabrics. It is hand-spun and it takes time to make. So that emotional connection of having something made by hand still is beyond luxurious. Like the spirit of Gandhiji, Khadhi has a place in the global textile scene, and now more than ever, when the provenance of the product is being questioned and the social impact of manufacturing is being scrutinized. It truly becomes a cloth that liberates vulnerable communities. Ladies and gentlemen, you're in store for some dazzling, dazzling fashion tonight. And that fashion, it represents a testimony to Gandhiji's life of activism and Madiba's struggle for freedom in South Africa. The cultural piece we are about to see is entitled Circles and Squares, and it is inspired by the beauty and the vibrancy of the two cultures, celebrating our similarities rather than our differences. As the waiters continue to clear the tables and present to you your starters, just a bit more about exactly what is your main meal, rather, just a bit more of what is in store. The piece that we're about to see was choreographed and it was performed at the first ANC rally following the release of Madiba. And ladies and gentlemen, a brief background about the designer who is about to showcase. Designer Stephen Van Eden grew up in Khadhi, which is a small town situated in the heart of the Northern Cape, bordering the enigmatic Kalahari. His career objective from early childhood was actually to become a dentist. But as the years progressed, fashion as a vocation resonated with him. And this elicited a creative spark of realization that fashioning a woman in luxurious fabrics and effortlessly styling her in a manner reminiscent of a mythical deity who he both designer and used with a contented smile. In 2014, he took up the position of the studio designer of Rita, a fashion house that is synonymous with the fine craftsmanship, luxurious finishes, and fine fabrication. This Cape Town-based atelier is famed for producing couture garments for their royal clientele around the world. Stephen's success, the successes of the brand, has been built on the consistent standard of workmanship. So ladies and gentlemen, be prepared to be wild. Thank you.
In the effort to implant hope in the breasts of the millions of our people, we enter into a covenant that we shall build a society in which all South Africans, both black and white, will be able to walk tall without any fear in their hearts, assured of their inalienable right to human dignity, a rainbow nation at peace with itself and the world.
That will be served with baked pumpkin, spicy broccoli, till seed crusted palm bouillon, and baby onion with peach chutney. There is also a vegetarian option, that is tikka masala paneer and smoked aubergine roulade served with a cake vegetable bobotie. That will be complemented also with a baked pumpkin, spicy broccoli, till seed crust palm bouillon, and baby onion with peach chutney. Now, as we do prepare our stomachs for what will be a mouth-watering main, we would like to thank, or rather take this opportunity to thank our sponsors that helped put all of this together. A special thank you to our diamond sponsor, Vedanta Resources. Thank you. Another big thank you to our gold sponsor, that is Tata International. Thank you so much. And of course, we cannot forget our silver sponsor, which is Circular. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please do sit back as the mains will be served shortly. Sit back and relax and enjoy your dinner whilst we get to know a little bit more about what Vedanta and what Tata are doing in South Africa.
Established through investments in numerous businesses across